In the filmmaking industry, I think a lot of people think that in order to be successful, in order to be happy, you need to be working with big name clients. But I found that in my own personal experience that I'm a very happy adventure filmmaker, whether I'm working for clients or not. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through what you need to be happy as an adventure filmmaker and why clients may not be on that list.
Truth is, there's nothing like old friends. 'Cause you can't make old friends.
Let me kick things off by telling you a story. This story takes place just a few miles from here, but it actually doesn't take place in the warm summery sun that we feel now. It takes place in the snow. I just started filming a documentary called Ignite Your Spirit, which is a documentary about my now friend Kevin Wilson, who after being paralyzed and overcoming alcoholism and obesity was using his skill set as a paralyzed skier and his joy for the snow and kind of spreading that to other people with disabilities. To date, it was one of my favorite projects that I had ever done. I got to go out skiing with this incredible individual and get connected to this amazing community of adaptive athletes. We had a ton of fun filming this. I actually even made a behind the scenes video in case you want to see a little bit of how that process went down. But ultimately, the project wasn't about money or client fulfillment or meeting a deadline. It was about doing something I was truly passionate about and telling a story that I believed in. Once the film was finished, it kind of kicked off a whole fun slew of events. I presented it in person at the Patagonia store. It got selected in some of the biggest outdoor festivals, and I got to go around presenting and talking about the story that I really believed in and help promote this nonprofit that I really believed in. It was a project that made me super happy. It led to some amazing opportunities, personally, but as well as professionally. Suddenly, when you make a film that goes into film festivals and has fun screenings and gets nominated for awards, you start to elevate your name as a filmmaker a little bit. Once everything had wrapped up and I'd done the screenings and published it online, it's now up on my website for you all to view, I realized that this project made me so happy and that I didn't need a client in order to be happy as an adventure filmmaker. Being an adventure filmmaker takes you to places like this. It gives you an amazing work-life balance. It has allowed me to follow my passions, find purpose, and achieve some financial freedom within that. So although I know a lot of you are here because you want to know how to work with big clients and make a career as an adventure filmmaker, and working clients is definitely a part of that, but don't let all of your happiness revolve around the clients that you work with. So here are the 3 reasons you don't need clients to be a happy and successful adventure filmmaker. The first and most important reasons to not always work with clients is having creative freedom in your projects. When I first started working with clients, it was definitely a very creatively unfulfilling position. Brands have a vision and I was hired to execute that vision. All right, I'm so sorry, it's so bright, I gotta put these sunglasses on. As filmmakers and photographers with a skill set in outdoor storytelling or in documenting these big adventure sports, we have a specific set of skills that brands really value. Oftentimes we are going on big adventures with these athletes, taking photos, taking videos while pursuing the physical excellence that they are achieving already. Being out in these wild spaces, whether it's skiing or rock climbing or mountain biking or surfing, being able to keep up is a big part of this job. You might be asked to do projects from clients in which you are only doing a certain set of things. They might need you to deliver a certain style of photo or tell a very specific story with one of their ambassadors or athletes. While of course I'm not complaining about going out and skiing with my camera, I do think it is important the creativity side of it is fulfilled as well. Physically, this job is very fulfilling. Being out in beautiful places like this is one of my favorite parts of being an adventure filmmaker and photographer, but also the creativity in these projects is what allows me to thrive and feel like I have purpose and passion in my work. The story about Ignite Your Spirit is a great example of that. Working with all these pro skiers and professional mountain bikers, I felt like I wanted to tell maybe a different type of story in the outdoors. And that creative freedom is so fulfilling and that can bring so much happiness to us. So whether or not you're getting paid, I encourage you to take an opportunity whenever you can to go out and find a project for yourself that is just about fulfilling you creatively. This leads into my next point of building your own personal brand. Somebody gave me the advice a while ago that was make the work you want to get hired for. And I took that to heart. I wanted to get hired to tell meaningful stories, emotion-driven stories in the outdoors. Although I love working with professional athletes, I think there is a huge other side of the outdoor industry where we can share stories of accessibility, diversity, equity, and inclusion. By going out and doing those projects on my own, on the side of all of my client work or making money elsewhere, I could then build a personal brand around somebody that really cared about sharing meaningful stories. As much as I love adventure sports, I'm not the guy to film somebody getting an 80-foot barrel from the water or going to Alaska and filming these rad lines like Teton Gravity Research or Warren Miller Entertainment. My specialty lies in maybe a little bit more of the emotion-driven storytelling, where we see characters that want something and have to overcome something to get it. So creating passion projects and not working for clients and building my own personal brand around stories that I wanted to share allowed me to have a style that companies would then hire me for and allow me to take this style that I've developed into their brand. So now when I work with clients, a lot of the stories that I'm telling are these emotion-driven stories. I wouldn't have gotten here and wouldn't be able to do that if I wasn't pursuing these other projects on the side. And building your personal brand, of course it's important, but it's also really fun. And it also, for me, makes me really happy. I love creating a style and a voice for myself so people know who I am and what I stand for. Wow, that sun really disappeared fast. So let's go into this final point. Personal and professional growth is a big reason why you can be happy as an adventure filmmaker without working with clients. We've talked a little bit about the professional growth and why that's obvious, but I think the personal growth is also really important to touch on. In a lot of these passion projects that I've worked on, I've found that there's a lot of personal growth that has happened. I felt like I've developed a stronger sense of empathy. I feel like I'm able to have more difficult conversations with people. Some of the projects that I've worked with outside of companies have touched on really heavy, serious topics. When we're in interviews and I'm having to discuss deep, dark secrets with people, I feel like it's allowed me to be a better people person, to listen better, to be a better friend. And I think filmmaking and creating an adventure photography business is definitely something that is exciting. I think it's these personal moments that I've found really fulfilling for myself. If I wasn't pursuing these projects on the side and I wasn't going out and working without having a client hire me, I think I would have lost out on some personal and professional growth. One of my projects, Unseen Peaks, I was really intentional about seeing how much of it I could do myself. This was another project about an adaptive athlete, a woman who is blind, who is kind of using the outdoors as a place where she can find freedom after overcoming trauma from her blindness. This film got nominated for an Emmy. It's been on a really exciting film festival run. I'm really proud of it, and I was so intentional about just seeing what I could do myself, to just see how self-reliant I could be. For the most part, I was taking the photos for myself. I took all of the videos myself. I directed it, I edited it, I did the music. Everything I could do by myself, I tried to do for this project. And this kind of stood as an example of like, hey, if we hire Ruth Smith, like what can he do? And I can point to this and be like, this was me. Of course, there were other people that were involved. Shout out to Marshall for leading the ice climb, or my friend Danny for doing behind the scenes photos, or Will for behind the scenes videos. So there are all these people that were involved tangentially, but I really felt like I wanted full creative control over this project to just see what I could do. And I think at the end of the day, that is what really made me happy, to just go out for myself, make a film, tell a story I was proud of, and really find the happiness in the process. I feel like my career, although pretty short, has felt pretty long. There have been a lot of moments, a lot of memories, a lot of travels, and a lot of stories that I've told. And I think when you're trying to focus on getting the next client or being that really successful filmmaker, whatever that looks like I'm not gonna be happy until I win a film festival, or I'm not gonna be happy until I get my film licensed to Netflix, or I'm not gonna be happy until X. Like, you're kind of losing out on this potential for a lot of joy along the way. And filmmaking is hard. Adventure filmmaking is really hard. When it's snowing and it's cold and you don't want to take your camera out, you still have to do it. And if you're not finding joy in the process, regardless of if you have a client or not, it might feel like a really tough road. And kind of my final little point is, whether or not you're working with clients, if you have to be working other jobs to make this financially viable, that's totally okay. I have friends who've won film festivals and working 9-to-5 jobs on the side. They take their paid time off and they go make a film for 4 or 5 days, make a nice little piece, submit it to film festivals. It does really well, it's really creative, they're really talented, and they go back to earning money another way. Because they don't want to make their passion, filmmaking, adventure photography, they don't want to make that their job. And I think that's really okay. If you're not feeling very business savvy and you're overwhelmed by the career aspects of it, there is nothing wrong with financially finding ways to support your filmmaking hobby or to pursue this passion. I personally love the business side. I love talking with clients, and I love the contract negotiations and the distribution deals. I think it's really exciting, and I found a lot of joy in that process. So for me, having a path where I'm working with brands has felt like a really viable option, but take a moment and think what it is for you. If you love filmmaking, but you don't want to turn it into a job, it's okay to just make films for fun, get really good, and make a lot of good films. Because ultimately, I think life is about what's making you happy. And I think adventure filmmaking should be the same. If you're spending all this time and money, cameras can be expensive, to pursue this path, I hope you find joy in it along the way like I have. So at the end of this video, I encourage you to think about what your Ignite Your Spirit project is. What is the story that you want to tell? What do you want to create? And go out and make that film.